has been one of our strongest allies in Congress, taking leadership in a cause in which he has a personal stake. He has always reached across the aisle to build consensus. I am proud to have the opportunity to work with him over the years that I have been with Dredith, and I know that my colleagues have been honored to work with him the breadth of his career. Among his many accomplishments is his authorship of one of our most important civil rights laws, the Americans with Disabilities Act. The ADA is a unique piece of lawmaking history in its broad impact on the inclusion and equal status of people with disabilities in our society. It is also notable in U.S. civil rights history for its bipartisanship. It holds the vision of people with disabilities living, working, and participating in society fully and proudly. As the ADA opened the doors of opportunity to millions of people with disabilities, so does the CRPD, also known as the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which is modeled on our ADA to the 1 billion people with disabilities globally, and which Senator Harkin and us at Dredith, UCID, the Leadership Conference, and many others here today are striving to ratify. We aim to abolish the systems which relegate people with disabilities to second-class status, similar to what the Civil Rights Act of 1964 did for so many in this country, a law which enjoys its 50th anniversary this year. For all of this and so much more, we are here to thank Senator Harkin and to honor his continued support as we strive with him to ratify the CRPD and to work towards and progress on many other issues, including education, employment, and so much more. Senator Harkin brings heart, passion, and dedication to our work. And for that, he is a role model to me of what politics can still stand for. As he often tells us in the disability community, we must bring love. I love you in ASL. Tonight, I'm grateful to share the love with you all and with a very special person that many of you already know, assisting me in presenting this award to Senator Harkin. Please welcome Yoshiko Dur.
Senator Harkin, on behalf of all of our beloved colleagues from the disability community, Rhonda and Justin, and I privilege and honor here tonight to present you the Hubert H. Humphrey Civil and Human Rights Award. Thank you, and congratulations, Senator. We love you. Happy
First of all, I'm really glad to be in a room full of soulmates. This is wonderful. So different than the Senate floor. But to Rhonda Neuhaus, thank you for everything, and all my friends at Greta who were there at the beginning, and who've always been there. Just a great organization, years of great leadership. And Rhonda, thank you. I've watched Rhonda grow and do all kinds of things. Undergraduate, graduate school, law degree. She just shows that there's no such really thing as a disability. There's just different abilities that people have. That's all. And it doesn't go dark again for all these years. You bring back so many memories of Justin. Justin Dark got in his wheelchair and went to every one of the 50 states. In 1990, well, it was late 89 and early 90, to get support for the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act. I don't know of anyone who was part of it. So our chair, Judy Lickman, and many, many years of friendship, Wade Henderson. I've always envied Wade Henderson. I mean that. I mean, he's just so eloquent, and he's just such a dynamic leader. He just, you get around him and you say, God, I wish I could be like Wade Henderson. I mean, he's just good. Of course, Sean Johnson stole the evening. I tried out doing him. So, my friends, I'm deeply honored for this award, and to be able to join with two, again, wonderful leaders, great examples, Randy Weingarten and Alicia Medina. To be with them just means a lot to me. Hubert Humphrey was a hero to me. He was a friend. You saw him on that screen with me. I was working on the campaign in Iowa in 1968. Really depressing. If there's anyone who, you know, I think about the pivotal points in American history. That was one. Think what the world and the United States would be like today if Hubert Humphrey had won that 1968. And then he came out and campaigned for me when I ran for Congress. I was privileged to actually serve with him. Well, I was in the House when he was in the Senate. Well, Hubert could speak in great cascades of eloquence for long periods of time. Or he could strip things down to their essences when he said, what do we want for people? Human dignity, personal expression and fulfillment, justice, and freedom. Hubert Humphrey was a giant in my early political life. Now, I must say that my greatest asset in all my years has been my partner, Ruth Harkin, for all my last 46 years. The greatest inspiration for my work was my older brother, Frank, who was disabled. And growing up together, I witnessed the prejudices and discrimination that he had to endure simply because of his disability. I pledged that if I ever gained a position of power, I'd do something about that. Well, it so happened. And a key milestone in that fight came in 1990, as you know, with the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Let me paint a picture for you. Let me just take you back and put it sort of in perspective. Let's go back to July 25th of 1990, July 25th, 1990. If you were a person of color, and you saw an ad in the paper for a job that you were qualified for, and you went down to apply for that job, and your prospective employer looked at you and said, get out of here, I don't hire you. right out that door and down to the courthouse, and the courthouse door was open because of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. But on July the 25th, that same day, if you were a person with a disability, and you saw an ad in the paper for a job that you were qualified for, and you wheeled that wheelchair down to get that job, and your prospective employer looked at you and said, "Get out of here, I don't hire criminals." And you wheeled that wheelchair out of there and you went down to the courthouse. Courthouse door was locked. You had no civil rights. It was not illegal to discriminate on the basis of disability. One day later, the courthouse doors were open, and the great Civil Rights Act was enacted. So it's been a long slog. We're not totally there yet. It gnaws at me. That's still so many years after that, because of a Supreme Court decision that we had to overturn for several years, the Sutton Trilogy, that we still have. You hear about unemployment rates. 60% of people with disabilities in this country are still unemployed. There's a blank on our national character. We have to continue to fight for decent jobs. And that's why I've got a job training bill coming out, I hope, next week. That will do something about it. I focus on this one issue. People with disabilities not being shunted into sub-minimum wage jobs, but into jobs that are fully integrated competitive employment. So, some great victories. I was proud to take over the committee chairmanship after the untimely death of Ted Kennedy. But since then, we've had a couple of great victories that I care very deeply about. The Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act. One that I voted for with Ted Kennedy in 1996. We never won it then, and we tried and tried to always bring it up. I'm just sorry that Ted wasn't around to see it. But we passed the Employment Non-Discrimination Act. So I appreciate being honored for past works. But this evening I want to urge everyone here to look to the future, to what I believe is one of the most urgent and pressing international civil rights issues of the moment. You see, about 13 years ago, the United Nations decided to take up the cause of disability rights globally. They came to Washington, they visited with us, staff,